the official business of the school system. The public is cordially invited to attend board meetings to observe the board as it conducts its official business. Persons who willfully interrupt, disrupt, or cause disturbances at an official meeting may be directed to leave by the presiding officer. Members of the audience should show respect for speakers by refraining from loud comments or other disruptions. Disruptions by any person or persons of a public meeting will be subject to action in accordance with General Statute 143-318.17. All of our board members are here and present, along with our superintendent and our board attorney. If you all rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Moore for her comments.
Good evening. Congratulations to the staff, students, and families of Washington Gifted and Talented Magnet Elementary School, which was named the top magnet elementary school in the country by Magnet Schools of America on Saturday. In their award announcement, Magnet Schools of America noted that Washington combines strong instructional practices in the core subjects with over 200 elective offerings that are designed to enrich and support while extending and enhancing the core curriculum. Washington is noteworthy for finding and nurturing the gifts and talents of all students through a unique educational program that cares for the whole child. Since it first became an elementary school, Magnet Elementary School in 1982, Washington has received numerous awards, including the Ronald P. Simpson Award as the best magnet school in America. As one of our earliest magnet schools, Washington has had a long tradition of recognizing and cultivating the gifts and talents of our district's youngest learners. Washington continues to thrive as a school with a rich history, a proud legacy, and a strong connection with their African American alumni. This award is yet another reminder that our district's magnet programs stand out nationally and internationally as models of excellence. Congratulations again to everyone in the Washington Magnet Elementary School community. We recently had 2 staff members who received major recognitions from the North Carolina Parent-Teacher Association. Dr. Shanika Moore Lawrence, Senior Director of K-12 Instructional Supports, has been elected President of the North Carolina PTA. And Melody Brunson, principal of Sycamore Creek Elementary, was named the North Carolina PTA Principal of the Year. Dr. Moore Lawrence has served NCPTA President-elect for the past 2 years and will serve as President through June 2025. She has been with WCPSS in her current role since July 22 and was an elementary school principal in Durham Public Schools for 12 years before that. She began her career as a teacher at Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School. Ms. Brunson was awarded for the many ways she and her staff engage family and community partners. For example, the school regularly hosts campus beautification days as well as parent seminars focused on literacy. Principal Brunson says of the award, behind every honored principal is a strong school community with a PTA, volunteers, families, and staff who are phenomenal. Congratulations to both of these outstanding educators for earning these statewide honors. Congratulations are also in order for Dr. Maria Rosa Rangel, Director of Family and Community Engagement, for earning the title of Hispanic Latina Woman of the Year from the Hispanic Latino Ecosystem Partners. The partners are the General Consulate of Mexico, General Consulate of Guatemala, Small Business Center, Durham Tech, InStep, and Mil Mujeres. Rangel participated in the SUMA 2023 annual convention, a day to celebrate Hispanic Latinas, to connect them with resources in North Carolina, and to promote economic development, career development, and social advancement. Dr. Rangel has served our families and communities faithfully for many years. I can think of no one more deserving of this recognition. Congratulations again. Finally, I'd like to highlight the more than 400 WCPSS juniors and seniors who gathered at NC State's University McKimmon Center last week for the annual Extreme Beginnings Career Development event. This annual symposium offers sessions on helping students be prepared for the workplace and explore a variety of career options. Representatives from more than 170 businesses, nonprofit organizations, colleges, universities, and military institutions were on hand to offer information, resources, and in some cases, job opportunities. Students were able to attend 4 sessions: college and career pathways, practice interviews, employment, and personal branding. Our driving goal as a district is to prepare students for productive citizenship as well as a career or college. Events like this with strong support from business and community partners are just another example of the many opportunities that students are provided to sharpen their skills. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you so much. I'd like to first thank all of our staff and community members that took the time to share their input on our superintendent search via the survey and other opportunities. Your feedback is valuable in this process, and I'd like to highlight that this Friday at 3 p.m. we will have a special called board meeting to share the leadership profile compiled from your feedback. Selecting a new superintendent is a task this board takes very seriously, and yesterday our application window closed for the superintendent position. I do want to share with the public that we have received 28 applications. Candidates come from 13 different states and territories, and applications are being processed by the North Carolina School Boards Association and will be released to the board. We have a big task ahead of us reviewing applications and beginning to interview candidates. This is a closed process, but we will work thoughtfully and considerately as we weigh this decision to select the next leader of this district. And I do want to take a moment to thank our board members and acknowledge the heavy lift this is on top of the regular work of the board. And coming in, especially as new board members, it is a lot. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that because it's multiple fire hoses. Last Monday, I was excited to attend the 25th anniversary of Olive Chapel Elementary. Classes took time to decorate their doors, and Principal May invited past principals and assistant principals and staff to view the school and see a student parade in order to celebrate this event. And it was great to see so many people who helped grow the school's culture and to celebrate it. And it was especially great to see the founding principal, Miss Jan Hargrove, and our former principal of the year, Dr. Ruth Steidinger, among other guests. And many thanks to Superintendent Moore for coming out to celebrate with us. This past Thursday, Fuquay-Varina High School held their pinning ceremony for their Information Technology Academy. The Academy is welcoming 80 students this fall semester, and students can choose one of 2 tracks. They can choose to study Python or computer science. All students end their time in the program doing an internship, and about 60% of those kids are also involved on the robotics team, while others may be invested in GIS. I would like to thank Ms. Rhonda Lesher for working so hard to grow this program, and to the parent board for their work alongside Ms. Lesher and her team to continue to present different opportunities to our students. Last evening, Ms. Johnson-Hospler, the superintendent, and I were in person, and I believe Mr. Haggerty and Ms. Caulfield were online to attend the open house for the Indian Education Program. It was great to see so many people, to hear more about this program and how our students and families benefit from access to their culture and connecting with those that share their cultural identity. And I'd like to thank Dr. Ryan Emanuel and the parent team, as well as Ms. Becky Foote, and of course the ever wonderful Ms. Gwen Locklear for all of her hard work in growing this program so that students can have this access. And this Thursday, WCPSS will announce its Teacher of the Year. And I just want to take some time to thank our community partners who contribute to making this program so very special, not just celebrating our 10 finalists, but every Teacher of the Year from all of our schools are going to take time and be honored today on Thursday, and I just think that's really special to highlight those partnerships and the folks in this community that make this happen. And those are my comments. Mr. Haggerty?
Thank you, Chair Mahaffey. So some staff had pointed out earlier that I'm not wearing a tie. And for returning board members, you know why I'm not wearing a tie. Because it's playoff hockey season, and there are no ties in playoff hockey. I didn't bring the flag this time, so y'all got off lucky. We are cheering on our Carolina Hurricanes, who are such a wonderful community partner for our students and for Wake County Public Schools. We really appreciate all they do in the community, and we're really looking forward to a victory and moving on to round 2. Ms. Mahaffey, Chair Mahaffey talked about the Indian Education Program, and it was great to be there and to be a part of that. I did participate remotely, but we had a special off-agenda item at the end of the meeting where we got to recognize all of the contributions and great work of Gwen Locklear, who was the program coordinator for the Indian Education Program and has just put years and incredible efforts building and developing that program. And I hope it's something that all of our board members will learn more about and look for opportunities to participate in, because it really is a great service to students in our district. Last thing I will say, because I know we've got a busy agenda, is I'm looking forward to our Stand Up and Speak Out presentations tonight and some of the good friends who will be presenting with us. And so that'll conclude my comments.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson-Hostler?
Thank you. I will start where you ended, which was our Indian education last night. One of the things I've tried to attend all of these. It truly is for our new board members. Another way that Wake County Public Schools provides great support services to communities that we often aren't aware and lifted up. So I certainly recommend looking at the work that they do. And you certainly are missing a treat, because Ms. Gwen Locklear has been here with us for 20 years, and she will be gravely missed, as you've heard my colleagues say. One of the things I hadn't heard them use before was the word consultation, which I'm familiar with in my day job with tribal consultations, which really means it's usually intergovernmental conversations where you're building trust, respect, and shared responsibility. And so last night, when they continued to use the word consultation, I was a little confused until we got through the agenda, and it really was a space for those of us in the room who are not members of any of our 8 North Carolina tribes or federally recognized tribes to hear the distinct differences and to, one, note how many kids have a 506 form, which is a form that's required that you are registered with and you have a tribal number. But also it was helpful to hear that there are barriers to meeting that need. And so for someone who spends quite a bit of their time in D.C. doing public policy, yet another place where we can lend our voice around equity issues that directly relate to our state and our students here in Wake County, because we are a state with a significant number of state tribes that are not federally recognized, which just enhances the barriers that are in place for those students and families. But it is always great to hear from the students, as some of you have gotten to experience that here in the boardroom. But we also got to hear kind of the educational ways in which the Indian Education Program and Ms. Gwen Locklear and her devout service to Wake County Public Schools. So again, thank you to Ms. Locklear, who will be gravely missed, and for the folks who will, as I always say, when someone leaves big shoes, there generally multiple people end up filling those shoes. But also thank you to the Wake County Public School staff who supported Ms. Locklear. She also made very clear that she felt supported by the district. So thank you to those who've supported the work of Ms. Gwen Locklear in the Indian Education Program. Lastly, I promised my kids I would mention this. I went to Smith Elementary to their family engagement and literacy night, and they had guest readers, and their theme is a bumblebee. So the whole thing was a mystery of finding the IB, because they're IB. And I see the magnet school people like, yes, this is so much fun to find the IB in the school. So I followed one group of students from their classroom where parents got to talk to the teachers, which is honestly how we get them there. But there were babies there. But I will say for me, outside of finding the bee, which was great, and Kona ice, which I did not get because the line was way too long, but they also had Kona ice. But it really was watching the students' expression when they saw the guest readers, and particularly for this evening, the guest readers were teachers who just left their school. and so are no longer educators in their building. And the squeals that I got to hear from those students when they figured out who their guest reader was a reminder of why it's important that we truly support our educators and truly note that when we're talking about supporting them, it is also supporting our students, because they were absolutely screaming. And a parent looked at me, she was like, who is this guest reader? And I was like, I don't know, but she must be famous in this school. And it was a former teacher at the school. But again, I just thought that for me truly illustrated that teacher support is student support. So thank you.
Mr. Swanson.
Thank you, Chairman Haffey. And my remarks will be very brief tonight. So I just want to give a quick overview since the last meeting, and was honored to be able to tour Cary Elementary School and Briarcliff Elementary School last week with Dr. Sexton as we continue to maneuver through all of the wonderful schools in District 9. And had an opportunity to join the Cary Town Council at the Youth Villages breakfast, which was a couple of last week, I believe, just to see some of the many great things that are happening in the communities and the partnerships that we can build. And lastly, I forgot, and I hope Principal Pierce at Farmington Woods will forgive me, but I forgot to wish them a happy 20th birthday. It has been 20 years since they were authorized as an IB school, and so although my message did not make it on their screen, I get to give them the best shout out here at the board table. So I am so glad to see the great things that they're doing. And they have been recognized twice as the top elementary magnet school in the nation by the Magnet Schools of America in 2011 and 2018. And so major props to the great work that they're doing over there at Farmington Woods, and looking forward to celebrating 20 more years and experiencing 20 more great years of wonderful things. So thank you, and that will conclude my remarks.
Ms. Caulfield.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Wake Forest had a pretty rough week this past week, and I'd like to send some thoughts and prayers to our community, our family, our students, and our staff who are trying to work through these hard times. Please know that our website has some information for help hotline and other resources that you may need. And by all means, if you cannot reach it, please reach out to me and I will make sure that you can find it. I wanted to continue to advocate for awareness for our families regarding mental health and substance abuse. Awareness is the first step in curbing the troubles that we face. It's important that we put time, effort, and resources into those areas surrounding mental health and wellness. We won't know when the need will arise, and it's helpful to know your resources and the best ways to reach out and be aware so that it is fresh in your mind and you know what to do or how to help someone else. Reach out if you need help. Reach out if you see someone that needs help. Our website, our webpage is wcpss.net/wellness, and you'll find a whole lot of resources on there. That could lead you to finding some of the information that you may need, whether it's for yourself or someone you know that is struggling. I know I've mentioned it before about our local vape shops, and that it's way too accessible to our children. I continue to reach out to our towns in District 1, and I'm happy to say that the mayor and town staff have swiftly approved ordinances in Roseville and Knightdale to support distancing the vape shops from our schools. Many of you know how easy it is for our kids to either walk across the street or a short distance down the street to access this. If you have not heard about Delta 8, please look it up. Delta 8 can be in many forms, including gummies, chocolate, and even candies. There are horrible ingredients in Delta 8, and I think it's important for parents to understand the effects and what that means when you're dealing with your children or even their friends. So I appreciate the town of Roseville and Knightdale for reaching out to that. I feel that every layer to protect our children is important. There's no category that we should not discuss when it comes to our children's safety. So thank you to Roseville and Knightdale to bringing that to fruition. And I continue to have conversations with our other townspeople, and I hope that that actually will spread not only across the district, but across our county. I've had the pleasure of attending a community work session at East Wake High School, along with our wonderful Mayor of Wendell and our area superintendent, Dr. Savage, where our principal, Stacy Alston, and his lovely student helper provided us with very detailed information about the progress at their school and all the wonderful things that they do for our students. Not only does he light up the room, and I appreciate all the positive input that he has to help our students. He takes a lot of feedback. He listens to the community. He listens to the children, and he gets them very involved in the better decisions that they could make and what that means for their future and what they can do. So I appreciate that. He just puts a lot of positive energy into everything, and it's always a pleasure to talk to him. You can clearly see how much that touches everyone that is around him. So thank you to Principal Stacy Alston, and please continue to do the wonderful work that you're doing there at East Wake High School. Many hours are being spent in student appeals and budget, interim superintendent, our superintendent search, our strategic plan. So there's a lot of comments that are coming in from the community, and I just wanted to address that if we have not responded to your emails, just please know that we will. It's just there's a lot of time being put into these very important jobs that we're working on. And on a light note, Wake Forest High School is having their last week of Sound of Music. If you have not seen it last week, please go out and see it this week. And if you have even more time, Heritage High School is also, their show is Mean Girls. So please enjoy both of them. Thank you.
We'll go around the circle. Mr. Hershey?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Caulfield, for your advocacy around the vape issue. Very impressive stuff. First off, BAC meeting, our final one for the year will be May 15th at Stow Elementary. I appreciate them stepping up. It'll be at noon. On the agenda, we're going to have a few schools present what they do, and we are also going to have a little roundtable about issues that are in front of the board, including start times and the superintendent search. I want to thank Wiley Elementary for having me at their Earth Day garden planting weekend work. They got to work on where they have the mulch drop, and if you know, then you know. It was a very long haul. I was happy to be there, though. A lot of wonderful people there. Thank you to the Men's Leadership Academy for having me during their elected officials day to speak to students. The students were incredibly engaged. It was a terrific event, and I want to thank Area Superintendent Cedric Williams for making sure I was at the right location that morning. I may have gone to the wrong Leadership Academy at first. Lastly, and I'll make this very quick, we had a wonderful event. It's not a school in my district, but we are not just about our districts. Being at Southeast Raleigh was fantastic, and I would actually like to encourage that perhaps as a plan over the next school year that we make it a point as a board once a quarter, once every 3 months to be out at a different school somewhere in the county and to make sure we give staff enough planning time. I know that it can be difficult, but it's important for us to be in the community, and it was really wonderful to be around them and to hear their voices. And it is us acknowledging that it is a long drive from different parts of the county to get to this area all the time. So thank you all.
Dr. Ng?
Thank you, Chairman Haffey. Back on April 17th, Ms. Caulfield and I had a joint BAC meeting, and it was very successful. I think we had a good conversation regarding the timeline of what we've done so far in our search for a superintendent, and then also moving forward, and then also got some feedback from the people attending. After that, I had a chance also to go to visit some schools at Wildwood Forest Elementary School as well as Fox Road Elementary. And then also in the same week, I went to Wakefield High School, and I got a chance to meet Principal Bazell and Assistant Principal Acri, and I was just very appreciative of the breadth of scope of the school there. I got to meet some of the animals in the back, in the cage, and I'm not talking about anybody else. They had a plant sale that week, and it was it was a fundraiser, and they will have a FFA banquet, I believe, coming up. Their FFA program, their agriculture and horticulture program was just phenomenal, and just like a hidden gem there. And as well as the other thing that I was really appreciative of is the Latin class. The kids in there were getting ready for their the Latin exam, and it was kind of a flashback to my days back in high school too, of taking Latin. And then just also appreciated a good view of the special education programs there, and to just appreciate the fact that one of the assistant principals, Assistant Principal Acri, has a special education background and also oversees the special education programs there. So I had a good, really thorough look of that school. And I would second the idea of, after having gone through that day at the Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School, that it was really good to get feedback from the community. And I agree that if there is any kind of chance, any way that we can have a rotating system somehow to go to different regions of Wake County, that would be a great opportunity to be there in the community, to listen to the folks there and the needs that they have. And it's such a varied difference in the needs and the demographics. So it's good that we have a chance to do that. And I also want to just advertise for Heritage High School, the Mean Girl musical. I think this is the second week this coming weekend. So if you have a chance to attend, that would be great. Not quite sure what Mean Girl is, but
On Wednesdays, they were pink.
I hope it's nice. No. That's it.
Ms. Edmonds.
Thank you. Washington GT, Magnet Elementary. I'm going to chime in with Superintendent Moore. Washington is in District 5, so that's exciting for me. But I am also one of their former parents. Both of our children attended K-5 at Washington, so to be their board member now is just so special, and I'm just so honored in this moment. And so proud of them, proud of their work. It is well earned, and I hope that I get an opportunity beyond tonight to celebrate with them and their collective hard work. A shout out to Holly Ridge Elementary students who collected over 4,300 items for the Holly Springs Food Pantry. Holly Ridge Elementary has done something called the Guys Food Drive since 2017. Each year, the male teachers at the school come up with a challenge where students get to vote for their favorite person or their favorite team by bringing in a canned food item. A can or a food item. This year, the team worked together to build a food shelter to sleep in outside on the campus at the school. So the students got to see them in this shelter the following morning when they came to school. And this year was the most food that they've collected since they started this. So well done, Holly Ridge Elementary. You can find pictures of this event on the WCPSS Facebook page, and I want to thank our communications team for spotlighting this in that space. I'm still making my way, like a turtle, like a snail, to all of the District 5 schools. Last week I was at Athens High School, and tomorrow I'm super excited to go to the Westlake campuses. I want to share a contest that came across I think it was in some of our district-wide email. a contest happening with the Wake County Board of Elections that I think is pretty neat. They have launched a sticker contest for middle and high school students to design a new I voted sticker, and these will be used in the 2024 elections. So that sticker will be handed out to tens of thousands of voters in Wake County. The contest is open now, and it is for Wake County 6th through 12th graders, and it's open now through May 31st, and you can find the details at wakevotesearly.com. Finally, it's still April, and that means that it is still School Library Month. As I did at our last meeting, I want to thank all of our school library staff for your dedication to fostering a love for reading with our students, for your professionalism, and for your courage in this moment when so many are seeking to limit students' access to books. You are valued and appreciated. Thank you.
Ms. Waters, will you close us out?
I certainly will. And I just want to echo the comments that have already gone forth and say a very special thank you to Chair Mahaffey, Vice Chair Haggerty, and all members of the Wake Board of Education for the heart to go out to the community and to have a public input session at Southeast Raleigh High School. It was so meaningful for members of the community to have the opportunity to share their heart, their perspectives, and their desires for what we are doing as we move forward with our profile for our superintendent search. So very grateful to the Southeast Raleigh High School community and everyone who was there and present and provided input. We have some very passionate community members who love our students, who advocate for our students, and I am so grateful that we had the opportunity. And I echo the sentiments about moving to other parts of the county to make sure that we are accessible. I was taking a Sunday drive and I went past Roseville out in Ms. Caulfield's district, and I said, wow, this county is very big, and so I wanted to make sure that we are accessible, and this is a board that really cares about the community and cares about what people think and is very accessible, and so I'm looking forward for more opportunities to connect in that way. I want to also note that we will have our next BAC meeting on May 15th, like Mr. Hershey. It will be in the afternoon at Southeast Raleigh Elementary, Southeast Raleigh Elementary, and it will be at 6 p.m. We're going to lift up the superintendent search, and we're also going to have an update from the Office of Equity Affairs, so looking forward to that. And lastly, as we round out Volunteer Appreciation Month, I had the great pleasure of having a volunteer information booth during the Earth Day celebration last Friday, and I was so delighted to see the number of students in Wake County who stopped by and expressed that they were already volunteering in our community, and particularly enjoyed hearing from two ninth graders from Panther Creek High School and the service that they're doing in our community. And so it's never you're never too young to volunteer, and I believe our students in our district realize that, and I appreciate all the service that they do and how they are already giving back to the community to make it a great place to live, work, play, and learn. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval of the meeting agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right. We do have a lot of recognition and information items, and so I just want to lay this out for all of the folks that are here, just so you know when things will be coming, because I know you're here for many different things. First is our recognition item for the Magnet Schools of America Awards and recognition of our schools and their leaders. Followed by that, we have our, and you heard reference to it, our Stand Up and Speak Out Bullying Prevention video recognition. And then following that, we have the public hearing on the budget. And following that, we have public comment. So just to lay it out for those of you that are here, I will let you know we have a lot of incredible magnet schools that we will be hearing from. So I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Moore to kind of share what we're going to be seeing. And Superintendent Moore.
So I'm going to welcome Kim Lane, our senior director in charge of magnet programs, and then I'll be going around the front to help congratulate the principals individually. We are fresh off the magnet conference. I'm sure she'll cover that from last week. In addition to celebrating Washington, we are going to celebrate all of the schools that received honors and awards at the past conference. And I'm going to let her talk specifically about how the numbers and how big a deal this is. So I'll be up there in just a second.
Okay, thank you.
And then our principals will be coming through, shaking hands, getting their awards, and then walking out the back door to go back to school, go back to work. No. Actually, they
Maybe go
will be
home.
walking through. They might go home, yeah.
Thank you, Superintendent Moore, Chairman Haffey, board members. It is an honor to be here to represent our magnet schools awarded at Magnet Schools of America National Conference last week in Dallas. We did have lots of opportunities for our principals and some of our magnet coordinators to showcase some best practices from Wake County Public School System in some of these sessions, as well as to celebrate these wonderful awards. As you well know, we are celebrating 40 years of magnet programs in Wake County Public Schools. So needless to say, we're pretty excited that there are 44 schools tonight that will be honored for merit awards. These are awards both of distinction and of excellence. 3 of our schools were named top schools of excellence, 8 schools were named schools of excellence, and 33 were named schools of distinction. Magnet Schools of America Merit Awards recognize magnet schools across the country that demonstrate an exemplary commitment to academic standards, curriculum innovation, desegregation, diversity efforts, specialized teaching staffs, and parent and community involvement. In order to become nationally certified, MSA member schools must submit a detailed application, and this is a renewal cycle for every 4 years. So merits are awards that are awarded annually. We like to receive a lot of these, and then our schools can go through a certification process. So it's almost like a model school process across the nation that many of our schools have gone through. 4 schools were recertified, 2 received certification status for the first time, and 1 received certification demonstration school. So demonstration basically means this is a great school to come visit and see how we do things. I do want to give a shout out to our magnet team that's out in La Rotunda trying to keep all these principals and magnet coordinators happy tonight until we can get in here. Dr. Lisa Thompson will be joining me to read the names. She and Josh Hunter both have done tremendous support with our merit program applications. And I just want to give a shout out to the number of departments: data research and accountability, student assignment. Again, this is a collective effort as we submit this information. Appreciate Superintendent Moore for being here for pictures. And normally our recipients, the Merit Award winners, will receive plaques, but they decided to start mailing those from DC. So they'll be here in a couple of weeks. So we have certificates to give them and just a little honorarium of honoring the work that they do by upholding our magnet objectives day in and day out. So please, Dr. Thompson, if you'll come.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. We are going to be starting with our MSA Merit Awards of Distinction. A.B. Combs Leadership Magnet Elementary School, Julie Sexton Principal, Tracy Tothero Magnet Program Coordinator, and with her tonight, with Ms. Sexton, is Riley Irons, who is the Student Body President. Brentwood Magnet Elementary School of Engineering, Melissa McKinley, Principal, Kristen McBride, Magnet Program Coordinator, and representing the school tonight is Kara Wright. This school also received recertification status. We'd like to announce Brooks Museum Magnet Elementary School as a demonstration school and also a school of distinction. They were not able to be here tonight, but I wanted to let you know that that is Principal Marie Palmer and Magnet Program Coordinator Amy Whitman. Broughton Global Studies Language Immersion Magnet High School. Principal Janice Diltz, Magnet Program Coordinator Dr. David Brooks. Congratulations. Bug Magnet Elementary School Center for Design and Computer Science. Principal, Dr. Anise Williams. Magnet Program Coordinator, Monique Booker.
Can I also say that's our Principal of the Year?
Carnage Gifted and Talented AIG Basics Magnet Middle School, Principal Eric Rosen. Magnet Program Coordinator, Elizabeth Rawls. Douglas Creative Arts and Science Magnet Elementary School, Principal Tiffany Faison Bullock. Magnet Program Coordinators, Marcia Hefner and Mary Scott Peterman. East Garner International Baccalaureate MYP Creative Arts Magnet Middle School, Jimmy Sposato, Principal. Joanne Edwards, Magnet Program Coordinator. Fox Road International Baccalaureate PYP Magnet Elementary School, Jacqueline Williams, Principal. Megan Peterson, Magnet Program Coordinator. Garner International Baccalaureate Middle Years Career-Related and Diploma Program Magnet High School, Matthew Price, Principal. Gerald Siemering, Amy Bennett, and John Sherwin, Magnet Program Coordinators. Hodge Road Spanish Dual Language Immersion Magnet Elementary School, Felicia Dorsey, Principal. Alan Arrowwood, Magnet Program Coordinator. Jeffries Grove Spanish Language Immersion Magnet Elementary School, Uli Ventura, Principal. Joanna Gonzalez, Magnet Program Coordinator. Joyner Center for Spanish Language, IBPYP Magnet Elementary School. Jennifer Zeza, Principal, and Cheryl Davis Jackson, Magnet Program Coordinator. Martin Gifted and Talented Magnet Middle School, Marla Mondora, Principal, and Claudia D'Alessio, Magnet Program Coordinator. Millbrook Environmental Connections Magnet Elementary School, James Aldridge, Principal, and Randy Jones, Magnet Program Coordinator.
This was one of our presenters at the conference.
Millbrook International Baccalaureate Middle Years and Diploma Program Magnet High School, Dr. Brian Saunders, Principal. Lauren Barron and LaShonda Haddock, Magnet Program Coordinators. This is also one of our recertification schools. Moore Square Gifted and Talented AIG Basics Magnet Middle School, Leslie Taylor, Principal. Representing today is Tracy Purvis, Assistant Principal, and Lauren Michael, Magnet Program Coordinator. North Wake College and Career Academy, Dr. Elizabeth Battle, Principal. Sherilyn Murray, Magnet Program Coordinator. Oberlin Global Studies Language Immersion Magnet Middle School, Brianna Pelton, Principal. Chris Hayner, Magnet Program Coordinator. Powell Center for Play and Ingenuity Magnet Elementary School, Dr. Curtis Brower, Principal. Chris Lawrence, Magnet Program Coordinator. Reedy Creek Magnet Middle School Center for the Digital Sciences, Tim Chadwick, Principal, and Christine Sachs, Magnet Program Coordinator. Southeast Raleigh University Connection, School of Design, Arts, and Engineering, Magnet High School. George Harden, Principal. Lauren Johnson, Magnet Program Coordinator. Vernon Malone College and Career Academy, Carter Hillman, Principal. Jill Oliver, Magnet Program Coordinator. Wake Young Women's Leadership Academy, Mariah Walker, Principal. Sharon Cuffey, Magnet Program Coordinator. Wendell Creative Arts and Science, Magnet Elementary School, Dana Permiano, Principal. Sarah Downing, Magnet Program Coordinator. West Millbrook International Baccalaureate MYP Magnet Middle School, Kelly Amon, Principal. Jim Bolenbacher, Magnet Program Coordinator. Wiley International Studies Magnet Elementary School, Tracy Avery, Principal. Claire Sullivan, Magnet Program Coordinator. Zebulon Gifted and Talented Magnet Elementary School, David Newkirk, Principal. Laurie Johnson, Magnet Program Coordinator. Zebulon Gifted and Talented Magnet Middle School, Candace Jones, Principal. Whitney Reynolds, Magnet Program Coordinator. And now we're going to be moving into our MSA Merit Awards of Excellence. Athens Drive Center for Medical Sciences and Global Health Initiatives, Magnet High School. Steve Mayers, Principal. Terrell Hartenstein, Magnet Program Coordinator. Conn Magnet Elementary School of Entrepreneurial Design. Gabriel Chedester, Principal. Representing this evening, Jeff Kimbrough, Assistant Principal, and Dan Gridley, Magnet Program Coordinator. They were also up for recertification this year. Enloe Gifted and Talented International Baccalaureate Diploma Program, Magnet High School. Dr. Jackie Jordan, Principal, and accepting the award, Helan Davis, former Magnet Program Coordinator, who is now with us in our office. Farmington Woods International Baccalaureate PYP Magnet Elementary School, Winston Pierce, Principal. Anna Goodrum, Magnet Program Coordinator, and accepting today are Jaden and Jordan Perry. They were also up for recertification and received recertification this year as well. Green Leadership and World Languages, Magnet Elementary School. Mrs. Leslie Blake, Principal, and Tricia Seymour, Magnet Program Coordinator. Kingswood Montessori STEM Magnet Elementary School, Sherry Slicer, Principal, and Michelle Gensler, Magnet Program Coordinator. Ligon Gifted and Talented AIG Basics Magnet Middle School, Gary Duvall, Principal, Megan Retzik, Magnet Program Coordinator. Lincoln Heights Environmental Connections Magnet Elementary School, Scott Gayton, Principal, Brittany Jennings, Magnet Program Coordinator. Partnership Interactive Community Magnet Elementary School, Dr. Mark Konjarski, Principal, and Mary Hunter Martin, Magnet Program Coordinator. Poe Gifted and Talented AIG Basics Magnet Elementary School, Christy Story, Principal, Alexis Lisenby, Magnet Program Coordinator. And they were also presenters at our conference. Stow Mandarin Immersion Magnet Elementary School, Jody Lay, Principal, Stacy Shoemake, Magnet Program Coordinator. They are also a first-time certified school this year. Wake Early College of Health and Sciences, Principal, Lisa Cummings, Magnet Program Coordinator, Robin McAlexander. And that rounds out the end of our Excellence Awards, because now we're about to move into our top 3 schools of excellence that got this distinction from the Magnet Schools of America. Carroll Leadership in Technology, Magnet Middle School, Tina Zarzecki, Principal, and Julie Klein, Magnet Program Coordinator. Hunter Gifted and Talented AIG Basics Magnet Elementary School, Shane Barham, Principal, Jenny Johnson, Magnet Program Coordinator. The final school that was a top school of excellence is Washington Gifted and Talented Magnet Elementary School, Katie Burnett, Principal, and Amy Wilkinson, Magnet Program Coordinator. We also are recognizing this evening Wake STEM Early College High School for their certified status as of this year. Dr. Drew Ware, Principal, and Sophia Overdeep, Magnet Program Coordinator. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Lane back up to the podium. Thank you. Each year we get to recognize a Wake County teacher and a principal of the year as a designee for Region 4 for Magnet Schools of America. And we'd like to honor those candidates for this award. The Magnet teacher this year is from Green Leadership and World Languages, Magnet Middle School, Tony Kelly. We also have this year's Principal of the Year recognition, and this award is always awarded by the colleagues. So our Magnet principals vote each year on the person that they want to represent them, and this year was Principal Kelly Amon of West Millbrook IB Magnet Middle School. So last, but definitely not least, we have a little big award to give out to our elementary Magnet School Merit Award of Excellence. Drum roll, please. Washington Gifted and Talented Magnet School.
first time, as Superintendent Moore said earlier tonight, that they've received a national award and been recognized. They were pretty excited, can you tell? So you can't leave yet. Okay. So as you all may recall, last year, Superintendent Catty Moore was recognized as Magnet Schools of America Superintendent of the Year. She honored us with being present at this conference this year to present the new awardee. And then she participated on a panel. And I don't know about you, but I've rarely seen Superintendent Moore blush. So the superintendent that was introducing her introduced her as one of the most distinguished and successful superintendents in the United States. And that's our superintendent. Okay. I do want to say that we do want to honor Superintendent Moore and not just her vision for Wake County magnet schools, but her vision and the importance of her championing magnet schools across the nation and her willingness to be a voice for diversity and equity across all districts of the within Magnet Schools of America and within our district and within the U.S. So thank you, Superintendent Moore. And we promised you a gift, so if you will pass these along, we would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lane. And for families that are interested in the Magnet program, there are a great number of schools listed on our website. We encourage you to look into them, do some research, and in the fall, go tour some schools because they really are incredible. And even if it's not your choice, you get to see the vast choices that we have in our district. So thank you all very much. Up next, we have an information session, or an information item, coming out of academic advancement, and that is our annual Stand Up, Speak Out Bullying Prevention video recognition. I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Paul Coe and Miss Crystal Reardon so that we can hear about these fantastic students and their projects.
Thank you, Chair Mahaffey. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Moore. So this evening, in honor of continuing our celebratory spirit, we're celebrating our elementary, middle, and high schools that participated in our 10th annual WCPSS Stand Up, Speak Out Bullying Prevention Video Contest. We're excited to be able to introduce our winners and share some amazing videos. So at this time, I'm going to invite our wonderful Crystal Reardon, Director of School Counseling, to the podium.
Good evening, Chair Mahaffey, board member, Superintendent Moore. It is my privilege to bring before you this evening the winners of our 10th annual Wake County Public School System Stand Up, Speak Out Bullying Prevention Video Contest. This contest was organized in 2013 by our Wake County Public School System's Bullying Prevention Committee, which is comprised of representatives from student services, intervention, schools, including principals, parents, and the community. The video contest is one of the means for getting schools, and particularly our students, engaged in and excited about bullying prevention. I want to take a moment to recognize Mr. Cecil Coates, who is one of our senior administrators for school counseling, who has organized this competition for the entire 10 years that it's been in existence, and he's here tonight. He's been instrumental in organizing and implementing this contest. I'd also like to thank the members of the Bullying Prevention Committee, who each give so willingly of their time in order to focus on bullying prevention efforts in the Wake County Public School System. So we opened this contest up to all schools in Wake County. We're pleased to say that this year we had 25 entries. We recognized the top 3 videos at each level, elementary, middle, and high. All students who participated have received a certificate of recognition, and our top winners at each level received a plaque during our school counselor celebration in February. Tonight we proudly introduce you to the first place schools and share their winning videos with you. But we do want to take a moment to recognize all of our first, second, and third place winners. So our third place winners were Brentwood Elementary, East Cary Middle, and Crossroads Flex High School. Our second place winners were Bug Elementary, Apex Middle School, and Green Hope High School. And now, our first place winners. So let's begin with Yates Mill Elementary. Yates Mill, if you would stand to be celebrated. Principal Dr. Principal is Dr. Vonda Martin Jenkins, and the faculty sponsor for the video is Roby Ann Morgan. And we want to share their winning video with you.
I don't know, is there something I did? But this feeling inside is leading me to say goodbye. My dreams are fading out to dark. I don't understand, why are you so mean? So consider I've never done a terrible thing. But you're always making fun of me. You are just like me. There's nothing like a great divide. So please look at me. It's not funny when you break my heart. I really need a break to breathe. I just wanna stand up. I just need to speak out. Shout out, get rid of hatred. You don't want to be outdated now. It's time to raise up. Our voices are claiming for peace. I'm standing because I believe we're here together, singing together. With positive vibes filling my life. Don't get me wrong, it's time to get on. Building our friendship, don't be perfect. When we're not wrestling, oh, we perfect. When we're not wrestling, oh, we perfect.
And that was an original song by their music teacher?
It's an original song, and I also want to point out that the criteria for this competition is that, yes, they have a faculty sponsor, yes, they have support from adults, but the contest or the competition is driven by students, and so it has to be student-driven, the video. And so this was their idea, this was their implementation of something phenomenal. So. And which adult could say it better, right? Which adult could say that better? Okay, we have a first place winner at the middle school level, and that is East Millbrook Middle School. East Millbrook, if you'll stand. Principal is Aaron Marson, and they had two faculty sponsors, Joyce Rosalato and Marla Broutman, and we would love to share their video with you.
The National Center for Educational Statistics reported that 1 out of 5 students report being bullied. This is a story about a girl who was bullied because she was poor and how her friends helped her.
Ugh, what's that smell? Oh, of course, it's Camilla, the dirty human trash can.
Stop, please.
Are you going to cry? Didn't your parents teach you how to take a shower and wash your clothes, or do they stink just like you?
Don't talk about my parents like that.
Listen, I'll talk about whoever I want to talk about.
Why are you being so mean to her? What you're doing is bullying, and it is not okay.
'Cause I can, you little rat.
Calling me a rat isn't going to make me go away. I'm not going to let you talk to Camila like that. Just as Rayo was about to say something else, a teacher walks by.
What is going on here?
She started it.
I didn't. You were bullying Camila, and I was just trying to get you to stop.
Yeah, Rhea started it.
Mr. James, Rhea definitely started it. I was on my way to class and started giving Camila a hard time. I came over to help.
Rhea, it seems like maybe you have been nice to other students. Repeatedly picking on someone is considered bullying. We take that type of behavior very serious here.
But it's not true.
Yes, it is! Maybe you should pay attention to how your words affect the people around you.
In that moment, Rhea realized how much she hurt the other students and that she needed to do better.
I'm really sorry. I never meant to bully you guys. I have just been dealing with problems at home. Sometimes I feel so angry. I hope you guys can forgive me.
It's okay, I understand. I've been through that before. We all have bad days. That is not an excuse to bully, though.
I forgive you too, though we do not allow bullying at our school, so it cannot happen again. Rhea learned a valuable lesson from the other students today. Sometimes you need adults to help, but most times other students being upstanders is enough to make things better. Remember, when you see bullying in your school,
stand up and speak out.
The creativity. And our high school winner, Green Level High School. Green Level, please stand to be celebrated. Principal is Karen Summers, faculty sponsor is Grant Trevette, and we would love to share their winning video with you. It doesn't always take music or words, right? Sometimes just the image is powerful. Can we give one more round of applause for all of our winners this evening? Thank you all so much for the time.
Thank you, Ms. Reardon and Dr. Coe, and thank you, Mr. Coates, for organizing this, and to all of our first place winners. We appreciate you taking the time to share your creative talents with us and for such a cause, and I'm just blown away, and I'm sorry that we had some aspect ratio issues, but we appreciate the fact that you all came out tonight. So thank you all.
Chair Mahaffey?
Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
ask a quick question?
Sure.
How do students see these videos?
That is a wonderful question. How do we share these videos, Ms. Reardon?
We share these videos. They're available on our internal site for all school counselors to access so they can utilize them in their building. And then we also have winning videos on our Wake County Public School System public-facing site.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Good question. Thank you.
Thank you. And families, students, you are welcome to stay, but if you would like to go home, you are welcome to at this point. Tonight, we both have a public hearing on the budget as well as public comment. Speakers commenting during the public hearing will be heard before speakers commenting during the public comment section. Members of the public are welcome to offer comments or criticism directed at substantive ideas, actions, or procedures of the board and individual board members. The laws and policies of North Carolina provide that issues or concerns involving individual board members and individual student matters are confidential and therefore not appropriate for public comment settings. Those offering comments to the board, including students, may discuss issues and matters of general concern. Concerns related to personnel issues or student matters may be addressed through applicable WCPSS personnel, the grievance policy, and other applicable policies. For the public hearing on the budget, you may speak for up to 2 minutes. A green light will illuminate at the podium when you begin. A yellow light will let you know, and an audible tone will let you know when there are 30 seconds remaining in your time, and a red light and another audio signal will let you know when your time is up. So please finish your thought, and we will move on to the next speaker. And And in the interest of maintaining civility and decorum, speakers are encouraged to address their comments to the Board of Education and to refrain from personal attacks and insults directed at the board, individual board members, staff, or members of the general public. We ask that you remain at the podium during your time, and any materials you wish to share with the board should be handed to our board attorney either before or after your comments. We have 13 folks signed up tonight for the public hearing, and again, that's 2 minutes. First is Daniel Grant King. I saw him here earlier. Is he not in the room now?
He was here. He
Okay.
out.
Okay. Amy Bryan.
Good evening, board members and fellow WCPSS staff. As most of you are aware, this year we have had lots of issues with transportation. When my students arrive late to school or don't make it to school at all because they don't have a bus driver or other transportation, they lose learning opportunities. Each year I've taught students who do not eat if they do not have school lunch. Especially in today's world, our schools should be consistently safe places that families can count on. When the buses arrive late for pickup in the afternoon, families stress worrying about whether or not their students are safe. Our school is out at 3. Students should be on their way home by 3:30. Yesterday, the last bus picked up at 4:15. Teachers and staff have had to create a schedule to help each other so that we can make it to other jobs. Solidarity. Without transportation, students cannot make it to or from school. Without school meals, some students do not eat regularly. It is hard to function if our basic needs are not met. Teaching is a career. Educators and classified staff should not have to have more than one job in order to make ends meet. I am here to request a living wage for all staff. I think that it is important to use our voices collectively to create positive changes in our world. Solidarity. Our WCPSS board has worked to increase pay for staff members and to provide bonuses for staff. This is greatly appreciated. However, it is still not enough to recruit and retain staff. For example, I looked at the numbers yesterday and we still have approximately 79 vacancies for bus drivers despite sign-on bonuses and an hourly increase. As we continue to improve salaries and working conditions, this allows for better recruitment and retention of qualified and dedicated staff. I am here in solidarity with NCAE co-workers to ask that the board provide a wage of at least $18.20 for all WCPS employees. I told a CNS worker today that I plan to speak at the board meeting tonight, and they said, "Good, you're going to speak for all of us." Solidarity. Thank you for listening.
Our next speaker is Kiana Espinoza, followed by Lindsay Lewis. And Mr. Grant King, I see that you're back. I'm going to put you at the end.
Hi, my name is Kiana Espinoza Almeter, and I am an 8th grade teacher at Dillard Drive Magnet Middle, and I'm here in solidarity with my coworkers and also with Wake NCAE on behalf of West Cary Middle School, who I'm sure you guys are aware is requesting some facilities updates, and I would just like to share my experiences working at a brand new building, which we are very grateful for all of the updates that you guys have been funding, but I've also been at an older building for a couple of years. So I currently work at Dillard Drive Magnet Middle, which was built in 1998, and it's one thing when we see our facilities problems, but it's another thing entirely when we feel them. So I'd like to share a story with you guys that kind of highlights our facilities issues in my building. So every morning I walk in and sometimes I smell rotten eggs, and that comes from our art room. She's requested several times that be fixed, but it's a reality of an older building. So we have a lot of issues similar to this, some patchy walls. About 2/3 of my whiteboard space is unusable, but like all teachers do, we make it work and we make sure that our students have what they need. We also had an incident recently. There was a really terrible incident where we needed to use an eye wash station, and that completely flooded one of our science classrooms. So at a school where I believe that we have a great staff and we're making it work, we're still kind of struggling to get our needs met by our current facilities. So I'm here in solidarity with West Cary Middle School, asking for their fully funded requests from the budget. Thank you so much.
Lindsay Lewis, followed by Erica Drapeau.
Good evening. Thanks so much for the chance to speak tonight. My name is Lindsay Lewis. I teach 5th grade at Lake Myra Elementary. That's in Wendell. And I came tonight to ask for the rate of $18.20 for those that work in our child nutrition services. I absolutely cannot do my job if my children are not properly fed. And properly fed does not just mean the food. The workers that work in my cafeteria are unbelievably kind and gracious and welcoming. They're also very patient. I don't know if any of you have ever fed 100 5-year-olds in under 10 minutes, but you really haven't lived until you have done so. I am honored to work with them. I ask for this $18.20 not only because I think it's the moral thing to do, or not only because I think they deserve it, but I also think it's the practical thing for us to do, because I don't want to lose the workers that work in our cafeteria. Wendell, like so many areas in Wake County, is a rapidly growing community, and I do worry that we'll lose our staff to places like Publix, who currently has an opening at $20 an hour. It's about 0.7 miles away. Starbucks is opening May 5th. They have many openings. They are $19.69. Wendy's has already been opened, and it's $19 an hour. I'm naming a few, but there are dozens like this within a 5-mile radius of my school. Please consider the $18.20 for our child nutrition services. Thank you.
We have Erica Drapeau, followed by Emily Hooks.
Good evening, board members and district staff. My name is Erica Drapeau. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Lake Myra Elementary School in Wendell with Lindsay. I want to share with you a story about my kindergarten classroom. Unfortunately, it's not a fun story about how we integrated science and literacy together. I'm going to have to save that for another time, because tonight I want to talk about the budget. I want to talk about how it affects my classroom and the learning within it, as well as the classrooms all around our district and the learning in their classrooms. For the entire third quarter of this school year, our classroom had a broken sink. Throughout the quarter, our day was negatively impacted by this. We had to interrupt neighboring classrooms to wash hands, to fill water bottles multiple times a day. I also had to adjust my learning activities, which may have needed access to those sinks. Not only was the broken sink a disruption to our learning, but it was a safety concern, an additional stress for me to contend with, along with the other staff. Finally, after weeks of waiting, the plumbing was restored, and that was a load off of my teacher's shoulders. We no longer had to abandon those messy learning activities within the classroom or manage 16 kindergarten students while they properly washed their hands before meal times to reduce the spread of germs. Remember, I shared that the sink was broken during the third quarter. That's the cold, flu, and the beginning of the allergy season. Our schools need plumbing, and they need maintenance staff that can respond quicker to these broken equipment needs within our buildings. I can't imagine what it would be like to navigate this issue for an entire school year or longer, like my colleagues at West Cary Middle have had to do, as well as the safety assistants at Rock Quarry and CNS workers around the district. Me and my NCAE union siblings are asking for a budget that reflects care and concern for those facility needs. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Emily Hooks, followed by Michelle Craig.
All right. Good evening, Superintendent Moore, Chair Mahaffey, and school board members. My name is Emily Hooks, and I work at West Cary Middle School. I spoke at the last March meeting. When coming up with something to say tonight, my heart still pulled me towards the direction of my students' voices. So to prepare for this, I told my 8th graders that I would be speaking at the school board meeting, and the topic of discussion was the budget and the money that Wake County would spend on renovating and building schools. I let them know that I wanted to speak on their behalf. I would speak about their experience and time at West Cary. Many of them wanted their voices heard about the concerns that they have for our building, so we started collaborating. I reminded them multiple times they probably would not see these upcoming fixes anytime soon, and it wouldn't affect them directly. They said, duh, we know it won't happen right now. We'll probably be in high school or college before it does. So then I said, well, then why do you even want to help me write this? Y'all, their responses blew me away. I might start crying. They said, I don't want to do it for myself. I want to do it for the teachers that I love. I want to do it for my younger siblings. I want to do it for my neighbors. I want to do it for West Cary to see a better future. If that doesn't make you cry, I don't know what will. This pulled at my heartstrings and made me very teary-eyed, knowing that these little teenagers were not only thinking of others, but they were thinking of the future. With all that said, we compiled a list of items in a Google Doc where all my students were able to write out their thoughts and ideas. I will list them now, but that would take longer than the 2 minutes I have. What I can do instead is share that document with the board, because I can find y'all's emails, and send it to you if you want. I think they'd be pretty excited if one of you just said, yes, we'd love to see it. So our big ask is this. With the school budget proposal, are you willing to make West Cary one of the 4 unnamed schools that get updates? Are you willing to value our students' voices and hear their concerns and do something about it? Are you willing to make West Cary a priority because we felt neglected for far too long? Are you willing to be like our loving students and think of our future? Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Michelle Craig, followed by Christina Spears.
My name is Michelle Craig. I'm a parent and teacher in Wake County Public Schools. Happy National Administrative Professionals Day tomorrow, and happy National Library Week. I'll quickly highlight 2 budget issues that need immediate attention. First, maintenance and operations for Wake County Public Schools are underfunded by nearly $20 million below the industry standard, and our students and staff cannot afford to wait any longer for facilities that meet basic standards of health, safety, and functionality. I teach in the same building that I was in 6 years ago, and in that time, issues that we face have included no heat in the winter, mold, which we were told was various stages of mildew, and plumbing issues, just to name a few. I have a bathroom in my current classroom, which has been broken for most of the year. They keep coming out and fixing it. The second need I will highlight is the need to pay our classified staff a living wage. Our classified staff are the heart of our school system. Without them, we could not function, and we must recruit more and retain them. I would like to tell you a story of my instructional assistant, Jan. I refer to her as my co-teacher because the care and instruction that each of us provides our preschool students is of equal importance. I started this school year as a substitute teacher. Jan began in the fall, and this has been there all year. She was the only teacher in the classroom from September to January when I took the interim position because her lead teacher went on leave. And Jan taught that class with numerous substitutes assisting for more than 3 months. During that time, she helped plan, delivered lessons, dried tears. She did it all. She spent a lot of money out of her pocket. The superintendent budget says there will be 10 new regional programs, and you need instructional assistants for those. If you want to get instructional assistants in those positions, we have to increase funding for that for a living wage of $18.20 an hour, and raise each of our classified grades $2.20 an hour so we can recruit and retain these essential workers. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Christina Spears, followed by Becky Lou Hobbs.
Good evening, Chair Mahaffey, Vice Chair Hagerty, and board members. Hello, Superintendent Moore and staff. I'm Christina Spears, Wake NCAE President. I want to start by thanking some of you for meeting with our members and workers to hear their stories and find ways to fund our needs in this budget. At the last board meeting, Ms. Edmonds articulated succinctly how an organization's budget is reflective of its values. In the current proposal, it's hopeful to see the emphasis on compensation for all staff, certified and classified. In today's finance meeting, Superintendent Moore named this board's role is to communicate the needs of the district to the county commission, and the commission's role is to fund those needs. We recognize the multi-year plan increases hourly wages for classified staff to $17 $18 an hour in the current proposal. However, our bus drivers, CNS workers, instructional assistants, and safety assistants make up the highest vacancy rates across job categories in our district. Workers in these job categories have been consistently communicating their needs, saying they need livable wages to continue to work in this district without the necessity of a second or third job. We recognize the responsibility of our state legislator in funding our public schools, though Ms. Johnson-Hostler, the finance chair, reminded you this afternoon that it's this body who is currently in control of this budget process and is responsible for making the request to our county commissioners. So I'm asking, do you value the recruitment and retention of our classified staff here in Wake County Public Schools? You articulated verbally this afternoon that you do. If that is so, demonstrate that value with action by making the right decision to include a livable wage of at least $18 an hour in this year's proposal. I appreciate your willingness to push staff to investigate what this wage increase would cost in your upcoming meetings, and I'm hopeful the board will vote to have our values reflected in this year's budget by investing $18.20 hourly wages for all classified staff. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Becky Lou Hobbs, followed by Susan Book.
Hello. So Wake County Superintendent and the board seems to have a problem, an addiction to spending. The outgoing superintendent has requested, yet again, to increase the budget, this time by $55 million. And on the surface, you may think, well, costs have gone up. Materials, wages, land, etc. Is it really just inflation, or is it poor planning, poor decision-making, or just misplaced priorities? In the proposed budget, you show spending of other school districts compared to Wake County in order to justify the expenditures. Some of these school systems spend in excess of $16,000 per pupil. But when you look at the performance of those systems, they're actually worse than Wake County. And then you compare to local private schools where children can go for as little as $7,000 and have a better education. So there's absolutely no correlation between spending and a child's education. So what is in this budget? Almost every line item, when I read it, there's an excuse citing end of federal funding. That is extremely poor planning by this board. And why did you fail to plan for that? You knew it was coming. And there's a lot missing from this budget. You've heard from several people here tonight, but there's no focus on academics and improving our children's outcomes from academics. What about the busing issue? You can't even get kids to and from school. What about funding to protect the safety of our children? We need SROs. You have officers protecting you here tonight. Why not protect our children? For years, Wake County has increased the spending. The budget has increased by about 45% since 2016, and that doesn't include COVID funds. And we have fewer students. Focus on what we need to provide, a quality education. Spending more money is just spending more money. Stop this addiction to spending.
Our next speaker is Susan Book, followed by Hanyu Hana Cho.
Okay, enough with laughing. Hello, my name is Susan Book, and happy Autism Awareness, but most of all, Acceptance Month. And I want to thank the board for paying attention to equity in this budget. As a parent, I know how important support for students with disability, our English learners, and all of our children marginalized by the greater society, how important that can be. I've sat and heard from our amazing professionals, like our OTs, who remind us to move our bodies as well as our minds. I know how important early childhood and our special education professionals are in the earliest stages of education. I thank you. I ask you to remember that not having your bus arrive on time is one of the most dysregulating things that some of our students can experience. Not getting through a lunch line as well. The board has spoken at length about efforts to lobby and move our North Carolina General Assembly for more funding. But I ask you, did you know that there is one more office that you should be talking to? the controller's office. The controller's office. The controller is the one person right now with a motion holding up Leandro funding. One person. Everything else is ready. So, in your budget efforts, I'm going to ask you to talk to our North Carolina controller or friends of his. If we remove his motion, this budget gets some much needed relief. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Hanyu Hanacho, followed by Pamela Winston.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Hanyu Hanacho, and I'm the third grade teacher at Wilburn Elementary. I'm here tonight also support raising the minimum wage for classified state staff for $18.20 per hour. I have a total of 20 students. 6 of my students have intense behavior needs, and one of them has autism disorder. I'm alone with my students without support. So these students also acquire adult assistance when in the hallway during the transitions. I'm very occupied with my instructions, so I desperately need another adult to assist these students. If I IA in my classroom, my students will feel safe and protected instead of getting into fights. Because without them, I'm definitely struggle. I also need another adult to assist these students with transitions, like going to the bathrooms in between the classes, so they can enjoy their recess, specials, and lunchtime. So also the school experience, my other colleagues also experiencing the same issues. I would really urge board consider raising the wage so we can have IA, we can retain IA and work together for our students. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Pamela Winston, followed by Chad Stahl.
Good evening, board members. My name is Pamela Winston. I've been a safety assistant with Wake County since 2017. My job as a safety assistant is to support students by making sure they get to school and get home safely. Transporting students is our job as safety assistants and to make sure they're safe. My coworkers and myself have a number of concerns. This is why we have come together to voice our concerns. Safety assistants are a diverse group of men and women who come from many backgrounds of the working world. Some have retired from other jobs. Some of us are in school or entrepreneurs. I can remember my first day at Wake County, and when I walked onto the lot and seen a bunch of young ladies and men standing in line outside, I didn't understand what was going on, and I was told, oh, you have to get in line and wait because you cannot enter the building until 5:30. And I noticed that this happened on a number of occasions. If it was raining, snowing, sleeting, or whatever, we had to wait outside until 5:30 to get into the building. I'm 64 years old. There are employees that I work with that are safety assistants that are my age and older. We care about the children. We love the children. And we want to be there for them. We bring something that's special to these children. Some of us are grandparents, great-grandparents. We just want to know, in your budget for the 2023-24 year, if you would please include an $18.20 an hour increase for us. We have the highest vacancy rate in the county. 35% of the positions are empty for safety assistants. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Chad Stahl, followed by Daniel Grant King.
Good evening, everyone. So just real quick, with school choice coming on pretty strong in North Carolina now, Wake County is going to have to become more competitive. It is going to have to really step up and start competing against the other alternatives. In business, we view budget as anticipated revenue against anticipated expense. It has nothing to do with our values, because our values don't fund us. Taxpayers do, and that's reflected by participation. So you can stand strong on values and keep losing students, and we'll keep coming here asking for more money, because you're naturally defeating your own system by closing your door and your minds to what parents are asking you for. Code of Ethics and Responsibilities for School Board Members, Policy Code 2120. The Wake County Board of Education recognizes that collectively and individually, all members of the board must adhere to a code as required by General Statute 160A-86 and General Statute 115C 4757. It is important that a board member is nonpartisan in dealing with school matters, and that she not subordinate the education of children and youth to any partisan principle, group, interest, or personal ambition. I believe you guys all signed that, hey, we agree to these codes of ethics. So I'd like to read a couple of them. Item B, specific board member commitments. Number 3, render all decisions based on the available facts and independent judgment, and refuse to surrender that judgment to individuals or special interest groups. Item 13, avoid being placed in a position of conflict of interest and refrain from using the board's members' position on the board for personal or partisan gain. Line item 16, remembers always that a board member's first and greatest concern must be the educational welfare for the students attending the public school. So if you agree to those principles and you're having this budget, I don't hear anyone, I don't hear the Red Guard talking about it, I don't hear anybody talking about the students and how you are going to benefit the students directly. Thank you.
Mr. Grant King.
All right. First of all, good evening to everyone. Chairman Haffey, Superintendent Moore, district staff. I'm Mr. Grant King. Currently, I'm an educator, and I serve proudly as a member of our local union and our state union of NCAE, and also I'm on the board of directors with the PTA of North Carolina. Let's keep it really real as to why this budget is needed. My colleagues have said it best, and apparently we have had people over and over try to diminish the progress that has been made. But let's make something very clear today, and that is that they are afraid, the people that try to diminish the progress are afraid that our students, our educators, and our and other staff will benefit. And I would like to thank this board, along with Superintendent Moore, for a thoughtful budget, even though it still has a long way to go. But let's remember why we are here, and that is for our students, educators, and families. And that is what this board is about. That's what NCAE is about. And so let's keep it really real. We cannot sit up here and allow, like it has been, the status quo. It is time for a long overdue raise. It is time for educators and staff to be compensated. And above all, it is time for everyone to be treated with the dignity and respect that they justly deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This concludes our public hearing on the budget, and appreciate everyone coming and sharing their thoughts this evening. We now move on to public comment. For public comment, the same disclaimer that I read earlier still applies, except it is a 3-minute time limit. And again, you will see a yellow button when you have 30 seconds left, and a red one when you have when your time is up. We have 7 speakers for public comment tonight. The first Mr. Steve Rao from Morrisville Town Council.
Thank you. Madam Chair and School Board, first of all, I want to thank Steve Rao, serving the City Council. I want to thank you all for your service and really thank you for the new high school coming in Wake Tech. We're really excited. I came here today sometimes to come and share some insights in my role also as a media analyst on PBS and WPTF Radio, and just to share with ideas with policymakers. And so last week I hosted the Indian ambassador Taranjit Sandhu along with Governor Cooper in Morrisville for a small business event with the Biden administration. And over lunch with Secretary of Commerce Sanders and leaders of the community, I learned a couple things about India, and I wanted to just sort of share a global perspective for the work that you do. The ambassador indicated to us that today there's 1.2 billion Indians with a digital identity, which means that 40% of all of the world payments are being done on the device. No more credit card terminals. That in the last 5 years, they've deployed internet access to the rural areas to 340 million Indians in the last 5 years. This is unprecedented. And what does that mean? Why am I telling you this? Well, the reason is that I think it just it shows how important the work you're doing for our schools are, because as people are getting more access to the internet in these rural areas, they're getting the skills they need in the knowledge economy. Today, the final point I want to make is the ambassador said that in the nation of India, 65% of the population is under the age of 26. So what that means is there's a huge, vast emphasis on training and knowledge, the knowledge economy. And I think it just justifies all the more reason how important it is. Number one, that we work to deploy internet faster across the state, and the governor and Secretary Weaver is doing that. It's also important that we invest in STEM education like we're doing in early career education at Wake Tech RTP. That's really important, critically important. So my final remarks are, I couldn't think of a better person to ask, okay, what advice can I give the school board about what we should be thinking about in terms of the jobs of tomorrow? So I said, who could I text and call? And I texted John Chambers, who's the former CEO of Cisco. He's a family friend of mine from West Virginia. He ran a $47 billion company and actually was a dyslexic from the West Virginia school systems. And John told me tonight to remind you that as we automate with AI, we're going to automate about 40% of the jobs over the next decade, but we can create 15 million new jobs. And what are those three areas? Entrepreneurship. India had 100,000 startups and 30,000 unicorns or billion-dollar companies, but we can create more entrepreneurs. We can create more jobs in AI, John says, and we can create more jobs in cybersecurity. So the work that you're doing is incredibly important, and I just wanted to share that global perspective because we're competing with every region of the world, and as the rural area urban divide is widening in the U.S., it's shrinking in other nations of the world, and that's something that we should all be very concerned about. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Councilmember Rao. Our next speaker is Sam Cronin, followed by Sarah Hooks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Cronin, and I'm here with my friend Hampton Hoffer. We both have children in second grade and kindergarten at Root Elementary, along with a few other younger siblings who can't wait to join their big brothers there one day soon. Baseline, we are so proud to be part of Wake County Public Schools, and we really just want to start off by saying thank you for all that you do, everyone in this room, to help support and grow our school system. Clearly, you do so much, and it's very hard work, and it's very important work. On the heels of yet another tragic school shooting, we are here today to humbly and urgently ask what we can do to help support you in bolstering the safety and security of all Wake County Public Schools. We represent a growing group of anxious and worried parents across Wake County who are also highly motivated to plug in and help be part of the solution, whatever that looks like, both at our individual schools and for the school system at large. We simply don't know where to start. We acknowledge that this trend of school shootings is a multifaceted issue, and school safety and security is just one small piece of that puzzle. But while we look to solve those larger issues, our kids have to go to school tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and so do our educators and the staff at all of the schools. So We are aware of the recent Wake County Public School Safety Assessment that was conducted, and we're so grateful for that strong first step. Our questions and presence here today are really meant to be a jumping off point to build a more collaborative and action-oriented relationship between you board members and parents across the county on the particular topic of school safety. The following sort of questions kind of fall into two buckets. I think we're thinking about how can we accelerate change across the school system at large? And again, not just Hampton and I, but there are parents all over who are thinking about this and worried about this. And then also separately, but at the same time, how can we move certain initiatives forward at our individual schools, and what does the crossover between those two things look like? So our questions really are, first, how can we as parents help accelerate and support implementing the recommendations from the school safety assessment amongst other potential ideas across the school system? In what literal ways can we mobilize a passionate group of parents who are eager to support the school board safety initiatives with tangible next steps? And then separately, in kind of that second bucket, help us understand how much leeway do individual schools have to fundraise for implementing school-specific improvements in conjunction with our leadership. While the goal is to make all of our schools safer, parents and administrative teams are also curious to understand what can be done at their individual schools in addition to or alongside the solutions on the system-wide roadmap. At a high level, what would that process even look like? Where do we start? So in summary, we're here kind of seeking guidance and direction on how to best be of service in tangible ways with respect to school safety and security improvements. Can you help provide us with next steps? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sarah Hooks, followed by Julie Stivers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Hooks, and my sister Emily is a teacher at West Cary Middle School. Day in and day out, my sister shows love and dedication to her students and her colleagues, and she only has the nicest things to say about the staff that she works with. She's mentioned a time or two that this is one of the best groups of teachers that she's ever worked with. The students at West Cary are a phenomenal group of kids also, and I've seen this firsthand when I visited the school for West Cary's annual color run and other public events. They seem like such a happy group of people with a very beautiful outdoor campus. The greenery, trees, and flowers are gorgeous. However, when I visited inside the building, it reminds me of when I was in middle school. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I went to a school in a very similar situation as West Cary. It was a very old school, built about 60 years ago, and was overlooked by the Mecklenburg school system. It's since been renovated and looks wonderful. Middle schoolers make it work with whatever they have, but I'm telling you, if I was a middle schooler and we got things updated or renovated, I would have been an excited kid. This is all I want for the students, teachers, and other staff members at West Cary. I want them to have an amazing place to learn, grow, and help one another. And I want my sister and her colleagues' love and dedication to be reciprocated by the county. I truly hope you're willing to put West Cary on the renovation list so they know that they have been seen and heard. Thank you all.
Would the National Librarian of the Year please approach the podium to speak?
That's not necessary. Raise these up a little bit.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Can we all take a moment and just recognize that in Wake County we do have the National Librarian of the Year? I know you're not here for that, but I will take that as a point of personal privilege, and thank you for indulging me.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm definitely not here for that. Something related. Hi, I'm Julie Stivers, librarian, educator, mom. We are in the midst of an alarmist theater of book challenges across the U.S., and many of these challenges have the same talking points because they're top-down, sometimes scripted efforts. To offer a counter story to those points, I'd like to make my own. And this is a shout out to CJ Suit and George Yamazawa for inspiring this structure. It's called 10 Things You Should Know About Being a School Librarian. 1, librarians support literacy. Literacy not only drives academic achievement across all subjects, but it improves life outcomes. Number 2, librarians understand that literacy is nurtured through choice, through availability, and through inclusion. Number 3, all students that walk through the door of a school library deserve to see books on the shelves that affirm themselves, their families and communities, their lived experiences, and real history. Number 4, librarians are trained educators. We all have master's degrees in library science. As part of our programs, we study many topics, including selecting books for specific age ranges, youth development, children's and teens literature, and the teaching of literacy. Number 5, we love when families read our books. Stories may try to pit librarians and parents against each other. Don't believe it. We see families as partners in celebrating the reading lives of our students. Number 6, we also believe in parents' rights and students' rights. Because of this, we understand that a small number of parents does not have the right to tell other parents what their children can and cannot read. Number 7, I can't believe I have to say this, but here it goes. Number 7, we are not, and I quote, peddlers of pornography. I am a middle school librarian. I choose books that are a good age fit for middle school students. Number 8, the library for many students is a sanctuary. Number 9, we believe in intellectual freedom. We do not force students to read a certain book. Instead, we invite them into a community of readers. We talk with students about what to do if they start a book they don't like or they don't feel ready for whatever reason. It's very simple. Are you ready? You close the book. Books are magical that way. It is completely different from online content, for example, which you can scroll forever. You simply close the book and you get another one. And there is great power in that, and there is power in letting students make that choice in a nurturing environment with, again, literature that's been chosen for their age range. Number 10, we love literacy, we love literature, we love learning, and we love our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rachel Hooks, followed by Chris Tuttle. Is this the whole Hooks sisterhood?
Yes,
Okay.
my brother said no thanks, but that's okay. He's at home watching it on TV.
Is he? Ooh. Well, hi. My name is Rachel Hooks, and my sister Emily, Ms. Hooks, is a math teacher at West Cary Middle School. She is such a caring and phenomenal teacher and really wants her students to thrive and grow in her class, as do all of the teachers that I have met that work with my sister. They all put so much time and effort into their duties as teachers, and in order for them to do their job the best that they can, I believe their school needs to be considered for an upgrade. It is almost 60 years old and feels like a little neglected to the eye. The students and the teachers alike would be able to better meet their goals if they have a sustainable and maintained facility. The community surrounding West Cary is growing, like the Park West Shopping Center and the new housing developments all around, and I think the schools in it need to grow with it. And I will ask this: think of your siblings. Do you love and cherish them? Do you hope that they have a happy and sustainable life? If you had a sister working in a building that needed major renovations, would you stand up and speak for her? If you'd answered yes to any of those questions, then please consider moving West Cary up in the renovations list. Thank you.
Chris Tuttle, followed by Crystal Behrend.
Good evening, Superintendent Moore, Chair Mahaffey, and other board members. My name is Chris Tuttle, and I am one of the librarians at South Garner High School, as well as a parent of a former and current Wake County student. Finally, a proud member of Wake NCAE. I stand here tonight to disrupt the harmful and ongoing narrative about librarians and the books we choose. And I want to do that by telling you a story. The story of the school library at South Garner High School. It is so much more than a collection of books. It is a place of joy. It is a space where our students and their families can see themselves and their lived experiences represented in our books, on our walls, and in the activities we facilitate. It can be a quiet space for a student to study, a space where students come to collaborate, a place where students wrestle with ideas, a spot to reflect, breathe deeply, and simply be, a place to laugh, and sometimes even a place to cry, a place to connect through playing games like Uno, Connect Four, and Jenga, a place to get a snack, a place to read. Ms. Lewis and I are honored to serve our amazing Titans and strive to build a program that represents the beautiful tapestry of students and families that come through our doors daily. We know book ownership is a privilege, and our families face many barriers accessing books and information in our community. Many of our families do not have the disposable income to buy books, nor do they have transportation to get to the public library. Therefore, the collection we lovingly curate at South Garner High School is even more important to our community. Censorship and book banning disproportionately affects the students that we serve because in many cases we are their only point of access. Today, I am asking each of you what I challenge my students to do daily. Be curious. Ask yourselves, who are the people choosing to read excerpts of books aloud here each week? Whose voices are missing from the conversation? Why do some in this community believe they have a right to make decisions for all families? Which books are being targeted? How is history repeating itself? In the words of NEA President Becky Pringle, I will continue to be an unapologetic advocate for the students and families of South Garner High School, and I hope you will continue to do the same. Thank you.
Our final speaker tonight is Crystal Barron. I know I've heard your name before, and for some reason I'm looking at it and struggling. I'm so sorry.
It's not a problem. It's not the first time. Good evening, Superintendent Moore, Chair Mahaffey, and board members. I'm Christelle Barrand, one of the proud librarians at Knightdale High School and mother of 2 Wake County graduates. I'd like to talk to you about the revisions for policies 3200 and 3210, selection of instructional materials, and the challenge policy. As you take on this task, some of which is necessary, I'd like to remind you of a few things that you might have heard a couple of times tonight. Your librarians are professionals with master's degrees. Your teachers are curriculum experts, and literacy is the foundation of a strong education. Regarding 3210, we've always had a very strong and transparent challenge policy in Wake. I hope you will continue to uphold this policy filled with checks and balances while also putting much needed limits in place. Limits that could avoid our library media staff from being bogged down in a quagmire of repeat challenges purely designed to waste resources. The board can and should make revisions to policy, but should not seek to overreach power and override policy. I have a few concerns about some of the language in Policy 3200, specifically concerning read-alouds. The fact that selection of read-alouds is singled out as something that must be done in collaboration with others implies a lack of trust for our professionals' understanding and knowledge of age-relevant literature. What's even more concerning is the amount of self-censorship that will happen as a result of this addition. Surely you are aware that one of the best ways to improve literacy is by reading to children. Yet if I'm a first grade teacher with 5 minutes left in class before buses are called, am I going to grab a book that isn't pre-approved or just let kids play on their technology? Would I read a beautiful book like And Tango Makes Three, or do I fear retribution for sharing a beautiful, true story of 2 male penguins raising an egg that could be labeled pervasively vulgar? In 2020, there were 223 unique titles challenged across the nation. Enter the famous list by Texas lawmaker, and by 2021, there were 1,858 titles, while 2022 saw 22,571 unique titles challenged. Just a bit of an increase following that political ploy. We could probably get Vegas odds on the number for 2023. Those are just the documented challenges. This doesn't even touch the insidious self-censorship that stems from fear. As you rewrite these policies, ask yourself what the fallout may be. I want this board to stand up for intellectual freedom. I want you to assure your teachers and librarians that you believe in our professionalism and the work we are doing. I want you to assure all parents that their children and families will be represented honestly in our literature. And I want you to assure students that you do respect their First Amendment right to access high-quality literature. Good things are happening in our libraries. They are safe and joyful places where everyone is welcome and has access to representative literature. Please acknowledge this in your policy. Thank you.
This concludes our public comment. Thank you to everyone that came out to speak tonight for public comment and for the public hearing. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Moore for her updates from our work session.
Good evening again. During the work session today, we covered 3 items, beginning first with an item that is on your agenda this evening, and that is the adoption of the 2023-24 calendars for our early college programs. Last month, you adopted calendars for traditional, modified, and year-round schools for 24-25. Based on the calendar law and our ability to go ahead and project forward. For all of our early college partners, we must wait for the university and community colleges to finalize their instructional calendar before we can adopt a calendar for those schools. Hence, the adoption today is for 23-24, as our university partners always adopt around this time for the following year. Those calendars meet all the requirements of the calendar law and do start and align with the community college calendars and in time to end with community colleges as well. And they have flexibility that is granted either based on restart status or the fact that they are identified as a cooperative innovative high school. That will come for action this evening for you. The second item that you covered in the work session was the revised 7-year CIP plan, the rolling 7-year plan that comes up every year for the board to review, where we allocate with specificity the near years of what's happening with our CIP funding, and then make changes or projections as we move out in the further years of the 7-year plan. That is by design. That work is also done in close collaboration with our county commissioner partners and the core team, as you have heard it called before. And there are a couple of changes that are being made to this 7-year plan that will be adopted this evening. The first one is the addition of Cary High School in the later years of the plan, dollars being going ahead and allocated there. You will recall last year that it was kind of neck and neck between Athens and Cary for the next school in the plan. That is facilitated by moving H15 outside the 7-year window. H15 is the presumed high school that will be located at the Bobby Murray site that currently does not have an academic program defined or established. We feel like we can move that further out in the years, move Cary in as a renovation. And then the second change in the 7-year plan is the addition for the potential of up to 4 schools being identified in the last couple of years of the plan for design funding and moving them in likely renovations. The 4 is just an estimate that could change depending on whether elementary schools are chosen, middle schools are chosen, or high schools are chosen. That work will continue with the board in the next year, as you will have a chance and an opportunity again to look at the rubric that is used to determine the order of need that you've all been a part of and worked on for a number of years, but you'll see that in depth, and you'll see where all the schools stand, and the board will be part of making those decisions at that time. So this evening, the CIP will also come to you for action with the addition of Cary, the addition of the potential of additional renovation schools that will be added, and the later years of the plan. The last item on the agenda this evening was an update on the strategic plan for the board. We are coalescing around the final feedback to establish the goals that will be in the strategic plan, as well as an item that was introduced this evening as aims that are much smaller in number than the action steps that were previously reviewed by the board. This is sort of setting up a separation of goals and aims that establish the work that we will be prioritizing in the strategic plan, leaving the specific action steps and metrics as areas that will likely change as we implement the plan, and more the work of staff. Sometime, probably the second board meeting in May, I think is what we established today, the board will be asked to approve the goals and the aims as a part of the strategic plan. And we just want to say that I appreciate the time that the board spent today in the small group sessions. It's like being back in school, and walking around, the feedback that was provided, and the opportunity that you really had for 90 minutes of good discussion in small groups to provide that feedback. So thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Moore. At this time, is there a motion to approve the consent items?
Second.
All right. We have a motion from Mr. Hershey, a second from Mr. Swanson. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? All right. Moving on to the aforementioned 2023-2024 instructional calendars. Presenting is Mr. Glenn Croza.
Good evening, Chair Mahaffey, members of the board, Superintendent Moore. Say again?
Yes.
So you can just say ditto.
You know, and it's funny. I came up and I was like, I'm going to say what she said.
Yeah.
You did a great job of elaborating as to why we're bringing the calendars today. So staff is seeking your approval for the 23-24 instructional calendars for our early colleges.
All right. Is there a motion? And yep.
I move that we accept the 23-24 instructional calendars for the early colleges that were presented.
Second. All right. We have a motion by Mr. Haggerty and a second from Ms. Monica Johnson-Hostler. Are there any questions or comments at this time from board members? I think we had a discussion in our work session, and thank you for that. At this time, is there all those in favor of approving these calendars, please signify with a sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
We now move on to board policy. The first one being
As Trish is on the way up here, Mark Strickland. CIP next time, not this time? Okay. So it's next meeting, not this
all
meeting.
right. Thank you.
No, the 7-year plan that's being approved. Oh, it's on the consent agenda. Never mind. Thank you. Sorry.
I was like, wait.
Yep.
All right. We're now sorted. Great. Thank you, everybody. This is teamwork. All right. Ms. Posey is here to present Board Policy 6530, Research Conservation, first reading.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Mahaffey, board members, and Superintendent Moore. So we have, as part of the policy migration, 3 new policies created by the School Board Association, and we are bringing these forward for first reading. The first one is on resource conservation, and we did not have any edits in our March 28 policy committee meeting. So we would ask for approval of first reading if there are no questions.
All right. Ms. Johnson-Hostler.
Thank you very much, Ms. Posey. As you noted, all 3 of these policies are new policies, a part of our policy migration, and I move that we accept, excuse me, the first policy 6530 on first reading.
Is there all right. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments for Ms. Posey? Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate all the good work that staff has done on this policy. I know it's part of the policy migration, but I'm hopeful that this policy and several others in this series might go on to form the basis, coming back later, of an overall sustainability policy where we're taking the different policies in our resource management and others, and then in a future time, we can sort of organize them similar to how we've done other policies of similar groupings.
I will say that in our 9000 series, there's much language that we currently have in policy that we'll be reviewing again with regard to facilities and properties and the sustainability efforts that we have ongoing and will be new, creative with regard to facilities. So it'll be handled in the 9000 series policy.
Wonderful. We appreciate it. Thank you, Dr.
Sure.
Crane.
Thank you, Julie.
All right. Any other? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, moving on to Policy 6540, hazardous materials, first reading, and Ms. Posey.
All right. This is the first reading for the hazardous materials policy. The edits recommended by the board in policy committee on March 28th are shown in blue. If there are no questions about the edit changes made to this policy, we would request approval of first reading.
So moved on first reading. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any questions, comments at this time? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, nay? All right, moving on to Policy 6550, vandalism, first reading.
Great. All right. Once again, this policy, first policy reading, and our edits are shown in blue based on the recommendations given to us by board members on March 28th. So we ask for review and approval of first reading.
So moved.
We have a motion and multiple seconds. I think I heard Mr. Hershey and Ms. Johnson-Hostler. All those are there any questions at this time or comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? All right, thank you very much, Ms. Posey and Dr. Crane. We now move on to our next action item, which is out of Human Resources, which is our NAS recruitment advertising proposal. And Dr. Mutillo will be joining us.
Good evening, Chair Mahaffey, Vice Chair Haggerty, Superintendent Moore, and board members. I'm here tonight to request your approval on a contract with NAS Recruitment Innovation to support the creation and purchase of recruitment advertising for the following positions: bus drivers, bus safety assistants, instructional assistants, as well as K-12, general ed, and special education teachers. This advertising will include Google search, display, and retargeting campaigns, programmatic online job ads, sponsored posts on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, ads to run on online radio such as iHeartRadio, Pandora, those kinds of platforms, as well as your traditional radio. This is our second contract with NAS. As part of the first contract, they helped us to create a microsite with 5 different landing pages dedicated to recruiting bus drivers, substitutes, CNS staff, IAs, and special ed teachers. Each of these landing pages includes a form that allows us to capture contact information, even if they've not yet completed an application in AppleTrack. We also purchase search and social media advertising to direct more potential applicants to these new pages. Once potential candidates visit a landing page and complete the interest form, staff in HR, transportation, and special ed reach out to help them through the application process. This strategy enables us to contact or connect with candidates early in the process, so we're in better position to convert them to applicants and eventually to hires. The advertising and the work we do to follow up with our leads are just 2 pieces of our multi-strategy approach to recruiting high-quality talent. As I shared in the staffing and compensation updates in your work session a few weeks ago, our team also continues to travel to college and university recruitment events. We've also hosted multiple in-person and virtual job fairs. And our last event was the teacher job fair on April 15th, and 647 applicants did attend that fair, both virtually and in person. And then we have a support staff job fair coming up June 15th and a bus driver job fair scheduled May 17th. We continue to focus on signing early contracts and our student teachers as well as other applicants, and we're also working to increase the number of participate teachers that we bring on this year. We're also strengthening and expanding programs that tap into other pipelines, such as high school students, IAs, to grow our own talent. So recruitment advertising is just another facet of our overall strategy, and we appreciate your consideration of this request this evening. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the recruitment advertising proposal?
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Hershey, a second by Dr. Ng. Are there questions, comments for Dr. Mutillo at this time? Mr. Swanson.
Yes. Thank you so much for pulling this together. But I have one. I just have one question regarding this. Why Snapchat? Why are we using Snapchat as a way to promote, and who was our targeted audience that we're trying to reach?
Yeah, so when you talk about some of these different platforms, from Snapchat to Facebook, you're looking at different age demographics. So Snapchat would hit more of our college students and earlier career teachers. Yep.
Dr. Ng?
Yes. Can you clarify this expense? Is it a one-time expense, or will it be a recurrent expense moving forward?
Yeah, so at the moment, this is a one-time expense. We could potentially have, additional advertising that we purchase, but we're also hoping with our new applicant tracking system, we may be able to link that to some of these sites a little bit easier. But we do continue to expect some kinds of advertising expenses in the future.
Further questions, comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, nay? All right, thank you, Dr. Mutillo.
Thank you.
We now move on to an item that is generally in our consent agenda, but seeing as we have new board members, we requested that this be pulled to action to kind of explain what we're looking at, so we know this comes once a quarter. It is the net savings identified in the local budget, and you may also hear it referred to as the over-under, and highlighted a little bit during our budget discussion today. So, Mr. Nieder.
Great. Good evening, Chair Mahaffey, members of the board, and Superintendent Moore. Tonight we are presenting to you the net savings identified in the local budget report. The report is made to you, as Chair Mahaffey just stated, on a quarterly basis. And as you also heard, it's normally on your consent agenda, but we wanted to highlight it since there are a number of new board members, and we placed it on action. This report is really just one of many different initiatives we have in place to maintain and support transparency in our fiscal matters at the district. Again, as Ms. Mahaffey stated, you'll sometimes hear this referred to as the over-under report. First, let me give you some background on the reporting, and then we'll take a look at the actual third quarter report, which is end of March 2023, that is coming to you tonight. As you heard during your budget work session during the Finance Committee meeting earlier this afternoon, budgeting is a very fluid process throughout the year. There are times throughout the year when things that are included in our local base budget are identified that we don't need the full funding amount for, perhaps don't need any of the funding amount for in a particular year, where we identify an alternate source of funding and we can free up the local funding. We take that amount of budget and transfer it to this savings account, or over-under account as we refer to it. There are also times during the year when an unanticipated need comes up for which we do require funding, and there is no funding in our base budget. We can use the identified net savings towards investing in that unbudgeted or unmet need. And if, as a reminder, most of the state funding that we receive, if we do not utilize it during a year, it reverts back to the state. So our goal is to utilize all of the state funding we can during the year, and by doing that, and you'll see a couple of examples of it on the over-under report that you're going to, Ms. Kimsey's going to speak to you about as she goes through a few of the line items in a minute, that can in turn free up local funding. Ms. Kimsey and her team regularly maximize the use of state funding. So the quarterly net savings report identifying the local budget effectively is a transparent sharing with the board and the public of savings that we're creating throughout the year. And then if we are investing back into the system, some of those savings for expenditures, specifically what those are. I want to share that this report is also shared with Wake County government on a quarterly basis as it is reported to this board and the public. Before I ask Terry to come up and review the third quarter report with you, want to put it into context. You'll see on the report that at the end of the third quarter, we've identified $14.9 million of savings year to date through March, and $12.9 million of unbudgeted needs that have been reinvested back into the district. That leaves, as of the end of the third quarter, a net savings to the district of $2 million. And if that remains at the end of the year, that effectively will become part of unassigned fund balance because the local funds do not revert. And again, for context, that $2 million in savings represents 9/100ths of 1% of our total operating budget. So it's a lot. $2 million is a lot of funding to it. I'm not trying to make light of it, but it's not like we're creating this huge savings account for the purpose of it. And we are reporting this quarterly, as I said, for complete transparency. Ms. Kimsey, I'll ask to come up. She's not going to go through every line item. I'm not sure you would want. She's going to go through several highlights from both the savings and the reinvestments. And then if you have any questions about what she's covered or you want a particular line item that she did not cover reviewed, we'll be glad to do so.
I think this just highlights a lot of the gymnastics that you do on a daily basis. So thank you, Ms. Kimsey.
Sure, no problem. We'll talk first about areas where we've identified savings. The first one is alignment of positions, and we've talked about this before. It's where we monitor on a monthly basis our position allotments we receive from the State Department of Public Instruction, and we look at the staff that we have in certified positions, and we make sure that those that are the highest on the pay ranges are in the position allotments, because the state will cover that cost no matter the cost of the employee. They're just tracking the months of employment. So to date, we've had savings of $5.2 million by realigning positions between our state, local, and federal sources. The second item is in transportation. That is the one state allotment that they do not release our entire allotment at the beginning of the year from the state. There's a mid-year adjustment, and it came very late this year. It was in the third quarter. So once we did receive our final transportation allotment, we do have a savings of $3.7 million where that mid-year allotment came in higher than estimated, and we compare that to the costs that we have for our staff and contract dollars and fuel, parts, et cetera. So we recognize the $3.7 million. There have been a couple of revenues that we budgeted for this year that have come in higher than anticipated. One of those is interest earned. The other is fines and forfeitures. So we continue to monitor those, but when we see that our collections come in higher than budgeted, we are able to increase the budget, and that puts some dollars in savings. Earlier in the year, we requested a fund balance appropriation for district software subscription renewals. We were waiting on an allotment from the state for technology funds that had not been released at that time, and we had a timing issue with paying some of those bills. So there was a fund balance appropriation of over $1.3 million for that cost. Since then, we have received the state allotment. So we are moving the money that was appropriated from fund balance to the savings, since the state dollars did come through and we were able to use state funds. So those are some of the larger savings. That gives you an example. Under the cost, the largest of those is charter schools, as we continue to monitor how much of a flow through we have to our charter schools based on our revenues, our numbers of students and charter school student numbers. We had to adjust that budget by $6.3 million. This past month, the board approved that we are able to reinstate the master's pay for our certified staff. That will begin July 1. But we had already identified the resources in this year's budget. So we have set aside $4.4 million for master's pay. We will not be spending some of that this year. It will roll to fund balance, but it will already be in the base budget for July 1, so that we are able to use that as a recruiting tool this spring. Then you'll see some revenues that came in lower than anticipated. One is red light camera fines. We are not having collections in that category, so we reduced the budget $550,000. So when that revenue stream came down, we still had to have dollars to cover the cost in the local budget. So those are some examples of how When we see a material amount that is either a savings or a cost, we recognize it this way to be transparent with where things come in different than they were estimated or anticipated. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Kimsey. At this time, we'll take a motion and then we'll ask questions and comments. No, this was pulled from the consent agenda.
Chair Mahaffey.
Yes, sir.
I would move we accept the budget adjustments proposed by staff.
Thank you.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Swanson. All right. Questions, comments? Mr. Haggerty, and then Ms. Caulfield, and Ms. Edmonds.
Hey, thank you very much for the presentation. I'm curious, some of the items that are presented, line items, when we have revenue sources like fines and forfeitures, where we had an unexpected jump in the revenue collected, and then we have another source down here like the red light cameras, where it's showing less. I mean, that suggests to me that like we're able to sort of project each year what we might get from these revenue sources. Is that accurate? And before I wouldn't have jumped to that conclusion, except that if we have because of the red light fines being below something, I know we're not actually paying the fines, so it looks like it must be an adjustment from what we thought was coming in. So could you tell us a little bit about that? And then the second part of the question, how do we spend that money? Do those funds come in and are they used for general revenues, or are they restricted to certain purposes?
Good questions, and thank you, Mr. Haggerty. We estimate prior to the beginning of the year, and effectively what you saw earlier today in Finance Committee in the superintendent's proposed budget, it's got estimated fines and forfeiture revenues and red light camera revenues for next year. So we will look at historical trends as well as historical numbers, and if we see trends going up or down, and forecast and estimate, sometimes through averaging. And so that's where they come from. The fines and forfeitures do come in ebbs and flows, and we actually saw during the pandemic when the court systems slowed down or shut down, a reduction in the fines and forfeitures. And then when we actually get them, we get them periodically, and we see, as Ms. Kimsey said, we see, okay, we're already year-to-date over our annual estimate. We will increase it, or we're significantly trending under what the annual forecast is. Let's adjust it down. So that's where but again, it's a forecast or an estimate. And again, budgeting that's where risk comes in, because you can under forecast, over forecast. And again, what was the second part of your question?
Yeah, is there any restriction use? Because I didn't know if it was viewed as like a windfall, or if it's something that's forecast. Is it something that
these are all just considered part of our overall general operating revenues, and they are not, the revenues themselves are not specifically aligned with any particular expenditures.
For example, they're not restricted to capital. They could be used for operating or any of these things on the top line of that sheet.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Caulfield?
Thank you. I do have a couple of definition questions just so we can clarify. That when you mention the over-under, what is the formal name of that on the budget? Is that kind of like the nickname of something that is...
It's really net savings is a better way to describe it. It's a tool we use. These are budgeted funds, but when we see that there are savings, we move it into an account that we have internal controls on, so there can be no expenditures from that account. So it's a place that we move the budget and sequester it. We can't spend against it. And if nothing happens, if we had no cost, that would roll to fund balance at the end of the year. So it's kind of a precursor to it going to fund balance. We're just setting it aside so that it can't be used for anything else until we purposefully decide we're going to transfer it back out and use it for another cost.
Okay.
So net savings is probably a better term.
That's okay. I understood. I thought I did. It fills in the blanks for me. The other thing is red light camera funds. What is that?
So when there's the lights at traffic lights in the city of Raleigh, and I think Cary has them also, If someone runs the red light and it takes the picture and sends that person a ticket for, say, $50,
Yeah.
those funds, after the city keeps the amount of money they need to cover the cost of the equipment and their software and all of that, any extra comes to the school systems. So we're actually receiving, it's kind of a fines and forfeiture, but it's from the red light cameras.
Okay, I didn't realize that we had anything to do with that as a school board. And then my next question was going to be fines and forfeitures. If you can explain, like, what are some examples of that?
Those are fines and forfeitures that are levied through the court systems. And when they collect the, Jonathan may be able to give a specific example.
There's a constitutional provision in our that basically the public school systems get to receive the clear fines and forfeitures. There could be parking fines and all kinds of other fines and forfeitures that happen, and that just the way the Constitution in North Carolina is set up, that the school districts get that.
So it gets passed on to us.
Yeah, there's a lot of litigation, some of it that we wish and expected to receive. We haven't received yet, but that's a longer story. But
That is a much longer story,
Longer
Mr.
story,
Blumberg.
but the short version is that the Constitution indicates we're supposed to get the clear fines and forfeitures.
And for both those categories, Ms. Caulfield, the fines and forfeitures and the red light camera fee revenue, those are occurring within Wake County.
Thank you. And then my last question was going to be, can you explain the charter line there? Because that seems like a pretty big number, so I'm just trying to understand what exactly that
It is. As the school system receives county appropriation and a few other local revenues, legislation requires that we share that with the charter schools. And we share it by a mathematical calculation that looks at the revenues we're bringing in, the number of students from Wake County that are in charter schools, and they can be in, it's a Wake County student in a charter school. The charter school doesn't have to be in Wake County. So number of Wake County students in charter schools and the number of students that Wake County school system has. So our accounting office every month pulls that data, and it changes every month. And we have to share a pro rata amount of our revenues with the charter schools. Each year we estimate in the budget how much that pass-through will be. And this year, the cost is coming in higher than we estimated. And the total amount that passes through to charter schools in the current year is $58 million. But our beginning budget was understated by $6.3 million. It's hard to estimate because we do not know until we actually get to the fall to know what the student numbers are and how the disparity between the numbers in charter schools and the number with Wake County school system. Your superintendent's proposed budget also includes a funding request for next year showing our estimated increase in that would flow through to charters. We've listed it as the potential risk in your budget also for this very reason. The numbers will come in different. Usually they come in higher.
Thank you. Ms. Edmonds.
I'd just like to know, are you required by statute or something to provide this quarterly report to us and the commissioners, or is this us rising as Wake County often does?
We are doing this of our own volition, and we believe it is within our fiduciary responsibility to maintain transparency. And I would just add one thing as well, Mr. Blumberg. I think some of you may have heard said it's kind of an information item. We are reporting this out as information on a quarterly basis for the reasons we've shared. It has been placed on your consent agenda, so you actually do take action on it when you approve the consent agenda. Again, giving it a little bit more level of transparency, because that is a formality that the board is approving this reporting on a quarterly basis, rather than just reporting out as an information item.
Yeah, I just was noting that the recommendation for action says no action. Administration is reporting net savings identified in the local budget. So I was merely pointing that out. I think it's in the consent because that's another way to report out. And since the tradition has been the board approves the whole consent item, I don't have any problem with the board's doing it. I was just noting what's on the agenda.
Are we technically approving an information item?
That's what it sounded like to me.
That's what he's saying.
That's what it sounded like to me. It sounds like this is a report that comes, and I just was worried that if you establish a precedent of always approving it, what happens if it's not approved? You know, and it's still valid.
So
and
we
it's a
can
report.
just let that slide and not vote on it, right? Is
Correct.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
it sounds like there's maybe a withdrawal of a motion. Is that what I'm hearing? Or not?
Yes.
I do not
Based on
believe
who made the motion.
I do not believe that this needs
Yeah.
to be approved. I
Thank
think
you,
it's-
Jonathan.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Is there a withdrawal of that motion?
I will withdraw the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty. And thank you, Mr. Nieder and Ms. Kimsey.
Thank you.
We do need a motion to approve our HR appointments and recommendations for employment.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, nay. We do. Superintendent Moore?
I just want to take one quick moment of privilege prior to entering into whatever the long language will be for closed session to recognize and acknowledge that this is the last meeting for our Chief Technology Officer, Marlo Gaddis, who will be retiring. Her last day is on Friday. And, you know, there you go.
Thank
Marlo.
you, Marlo.
I'm just going to say thank you. You know, the role of Chief Technology Officer is fairly new to school systems across the United States. And for being as large as we are, we were a little bit late to the party to actually add that role. Marlo has done tremendous work in the time that she has been in that role to not only learn and grow through the professional affiliations and opportunities she's had to learn about this role, but to also become an advocate on the national level and show up for Wake County in national spaces as is it president of COSIN, or what's the title? On the board? On the board. So, well, okay. Several large organizations across this country. She is very well respected nationally, and I think it's just important to say that. It is always wonderful when folks retire after service to the district, but the work that she has done, as I told her myself in person, through a video, and now live, we are, because we have known her, we have been changed for good. So. And that's just another little reference, given that she's very much the artsy person. So, thank you, Mara.
Well said, Superintendent Moore. At this time, we'll take a motion to return to closed session for reasons previously stated at the end of our work session.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. We are now back in closed session. Thank you.